What is going on, everybody? So since the last video, we have had a lot of stuff come and go, and right now we are in a very saturated state of the season. You know, Epic just went on their summer break, so we got a lot of stuff put in the game. I'm not even going to talk about Blitz or any of that kind of stuff. That's for a different day if I do even really get into that kind of stuff. Although I do want to play with the avatar items again. I miss my water bending. That'll be fun. But for now, we're going to be talking about the Chapter 6 Season 3 Battle Royale and where we are with, you know, the pom-poms. We got the mist cape that, you know, combines with the gauntlets, and then they just added the surf cube as well yesterday. So from my last video, I am for the most part still doing a lot of stuff the same. Although I will say there is one fundamental difference that I have changed because of not a realization, but something that I'm more exploiting in the current season. But we'll get into that. So let's talk about one big item. People do not like these pom-poms. They either love them or hate them, basically, you know. I really fall right in the middle. I feel like they are very good at what they do, but they do have a cap for their damage output, which is the most important part of an item when you are effectively locked into one thing and you can only, you know, kill someone really with like your melee or your pounce attack, which is very easy to avoid in my opinion. So when someone is coming at you with the beast, also like for my, like this is not going to be how to use it. Like if you guys want to use it, figure that out yourself. I don't really like this thing in terms of, I just think it's a little too all or nothing. You know, I don't like how when you transform away from it, you lose 25% of it. I think it's just kind of a lot. So if I could like transform into it and out of it and use it throughout the game, I would consider using it more. Because of that restriction, it's just something that I personally am not really messing with too much. You know, it's like anything. If I don't have an item at the time of mobility and I need something, you might see me using it in my inventory sometimes, but it's not something that I'm going for. It's not something that I'm striving to have in my final circle end game. That's an important distinction. You know, you always want to be able to use any item on the map, but when you're looking for your final loadout, that's kind of like the big difference. They're very good at the mobility element, but they're just not that great for DPS. So really what I think that you should do is you have to use unique ways to kind of separate from them. Either like get the high ground with your base gloves or with your mist cape or the surfboard. Then you can, you know, just fire away at them while they try to, you know, close that gap. Zip lines. I don't think they can ride zip lines. So you can, you know, hop a zip line and just kind of like hang there, right? And just shoot at them. Same thing with, you know, a glider or a rift. I'm pretty sure they can't go on the gliders or the redeploys or anything like that. So you can like separate, go on island, things like that. There's a lot of options when someone is, you know, trying to beast mode at you. I think that they're strong in terms of closing the gap, but they're not like, I think the Typhoon Blade was better at DPS. I think the Nitro Fists were better at DPS. So I'm not really like as polarized as people are, which, you know, they're like on the very opposite ends of the spectrum. They either love using this item or hate using this item. I think it's just a very like whatever thing. It's kind of there and I'll use it if I need to, but I'm not going to really focus on it too much. All right, that was tip number one. Don't worry about the pom-poms. Tip number two. So let's talk about Hela's Q. Oh, or I'm sorry. The cape, the gauntlets, you know, I mean, this is actually like the exact same thing. It's very funny. You know, if you played Marvel Rivals, the ability that Hela has is to turn into a crow and like fly away, you know, and you can't be shot when you're flying away. And in, you know, Fortnite, they've added the ability to turn into a crow and fly away, and you can't be shot when you're flying away. Wow. So the big difference between these two items, like, you know, the cape and then the cape gauntlet combined, is the cape itself only has 10 uses, and you can't shoot out of it when you're, you know, coming out of it mid-air. It does offer very good momentum, and when you do exit the cape, you do get like a little like boost forward, almost like a little double jump. So I do think it is not like, it's like the beast thing where, you know, I'll use it if I need to, but it's not something that I'm going to go for. I will say though that if I'm in like an end game scramble situation where I've used all my resources and I'm looking for something, or mid game or whatever, you know, and I do have it with the mist form gauntlets, you go from 10 uses to I think it's like 60 uses, because you only utilize 5 of the charge, you know, when you use the flight technique, and you have 300 charge in when you combine them into the 2 item form, you know. So like they actually do seem like they were really designed with the intention of using them together, you know, because separately the gauntlets, the mist gauntlets are terrible, and the cape is like serviceable but only in certain situations. So I would say that the 2 combined are okay, but really I'd rather use that extra space that, you know, we normally use for heals for something else, and, you know, we'll get to that in a bit. Tip number 3, it feels like leveling up is easier. I don't know if this is just me or if they really did this, but I'm pretty sure, I mean, didn't go back and check my numbers from, you know, previous videos to the current video, but so don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure you get more points for things like, you know, eliminating opponents and putting the sprites in the shrines. And, you know, if you throw a crypto treat, I learned this from Evolve Jake, shout out to the homie, if you throw a crypto treat against a structure, like it doesn't work against every structure, but like a wall or a build or like, you know, something bigger, it will give you like 250 hero points. So like anytime you find a crypto treat, just like pick it up, throw it against a solid structure, and you'll get 250. And things like this, I think we're giving less before. So I feel like overall I am getting to my hero rank, you know, quicker, which is great because now you can utilize things like the A tier chest, the S tier chest much more frequently, and I'm actually shooting to get to S plus now in more of my games. I feel like all you really need now is like 10 plus kills, maybe a couple mini bosses here and there, and you will, you know, get to S plus like pretty quickly. You know, I mean, 10 plus isn't like the easiest thing to do, but this season is a season for killing bots. All right, this is like a little mini tip within a tip. Kill the bots. That's like how you get to, you know, when you hear like 2 AI fighting, and a lot of seasons, like who cares about that? But in this season, that is XP. You want to get there, not like XP, you know, for your battle pass. Like this is XP per match where you want to actually level your character up and get stronger. So do that. All right. So why do I want to utilize my extra heal slot for not the mist gauntlets or for heals right now? I want to utilize it for the scanner. Now I know what I said last video is that I really like tracking people without the scanner. It has like this kind of self-satisfaction to it, and it really does, of course. But there's 2 instances where I've really been using the scanner in a, not, I want to say in a busted way, but like, you know, exploiting it for how good it really is. So one, we'll just be really straightforward and obvious with it, is when people are in bushes, I'll like let them get to the bush and then get really close to it and kind of, you know, use my car for cover or use like a rock or tree for cover. But then at the last second, I'll use my scanner and then immediately swap to my AR or SMG and then just blast them because people don't have enough time to react to that. And then also the passive effect. I didn't realize how good the passive effect was the first video that I made. You get to see people's footsteps like from so long away. Not like distance wise, but duration wise. I feel like footsteps that have been there for like 10 seconds plus will be like orange-ish, and you can just, you know, find the person because you go from orange to yellow to green and there they are. I thought at first that the yellow or orange-ish footsteps were from the dash sprite. So that was just a complete mistake on my part. I'll be straightforward with that. So I have been actually bringing the scanner into late game. You know, anytime you're in late game and the circle gets small, it's really helpful to know where people are. Anytime you want to go into a new POI scan, you know, and the fact that it's infinite uses too is kind of crazy. In a new era of Fortnite where all these utility items, you know, the katanas and the typhoon blades and the jetpack of Star Wars season, you know, like these are all consumable things. I mean, jetpack was consumable, then for whatever reason, War Machine Hoverjet wasn't. Thank God, that was fun to use. And then last season, it was consumable again. It's like in an era of everything being consumable, I'm really shocked that they made this scanner infinite uses. Like if they made this scanner like 10 uses, it would still be worth picking up, I think. 10 uses plus keep the passive, I think it would still be worth using. But yeah, the fact that it's infinite uses, like just take it. Just take it. It's like we've wanted this for a while now with how powerful these scanner NPCs have been. Scanner NPCs have been around in Fortnite for a while, and people have gone for them whenever they want that extra advantage, and it's very strong. So yeah, I am using that. And the reason why I think I can get away with not carrying heals, we'll kind of touch on this like extra tip, is just because I'm fully trying to exploit all the other heals on the map right now. You know, while we don't have the heal sprites anymore, you get heals every time you level up, you know, your hero rank. So that's great. And then also if you have the medallion that gives you up to 50 shield, that's awesome. And then once you get to S plus, which we're getting to more frequently now, you can get blue shield from the storm. You know, you have to trade white health from it, but you can do that if you're in a certain area where, say, you have like a campfire, a med pack, just things that are going to give you whites but not necessarily shields. So there's more ways to heal up right now than kind of ever before. So I'm pretty good with not carrying heals. There's a lot of seasons where I will go to I'll try to do 2 things as often as possible in Fortnite. I don't want to carry a shotgun because that's just the way I prefer to play. I do not like to barrel stuff people. I like to just kind of play around cover and utilize the destructibility of cover and just try to out angle people. That's how I like to play Fortnite. And then I also don't really like carrying heals if I don't have to. Anytime, like say for example, I mentioned earlier, you know, Blitz, but whenever the water bending was in the game, I love that because not only because it was such a strong item, because anytime you go to water, you can heal your whites from it. And I love a double utility item like that. For example, we had the heal boon, heal sprite, you know, from the season 1 and 2, where you could heal, and I think it was in season 2, sorry, I only played season 1 of this chapter, where you could heal in the water if you had it, and I thought that was awesome, so I really liked using that. So I will go for no heals whenever possible, and right now we can go no heals, extra scan, extra utility. All right, tip number 5 is I still feel like this season is very open to like using whatever gun you want, so just get comfortable with whatever the hell you want. Like I still really love the precision SMG. Its downside though is it has a really small magazine size, but its upside though is it has like pretty much the highest DPS of any gun right now. It's very, very good when you catch people off guard. I think everyone should probably be running the Spire AR. I run that as my secondary spray weapon, you know, my closer range weapon, my 5 to 10 meter range weapon, where, you know, since I don't run a shotgun, that is kind of like my shotgun, and I use that kind of for everything. You know, it's so good for how much you can just blast people. It does have a slower pullout time than some weapons, and it has a really long reload time, but it is a little more accurate than it should be for what it offers. Like it's a very, very strong weapon. Kill switch revolvers people love, you know, like they do they are incredibly accurate. You know, the opposite of the Spire, like they are super freaking accurate, but they got a tiny clip size and they force you to be kind of like out floating in the air, which I just have I've died to them a couple times, sure, like who hasn't? But I feel like I catch people off guard more than they catch me off guard with those. So kill switch revolvers are like fine, but like if it's your thing, it's your thing. It pairs really well if you have the Robin grappler. You can use the cancel, you know, like you can grapple, swap to the revolvers, use the slow-mo, then when you unslow-mo, you still retain the momentum of the initial grapple, which is very, very fast, like ungodly fast really for like, that's why they gave it the grapple effect. So the fact that you can cancel it still and they didn't really quote unquote fix that, like, you know, they fixed the car pickaxe glitch, but they didn't fix that, is a little weird to me. But yeah, so you have to piece your loadout together with how you're going to use it, but the revolvers don't really fit in my loadout. DMR, you know, I've had a couple cool kills with the DMR, but it's just not a great weapon overall. I think that it's just, it lacks too much in, say, rate of fire. It has a bad scope. I mean, it doesn't have a bad scope in the grand scheme of things. If you put that scope on a lot of ARs, it'd be great, but on a long range weapon, it's not that good. And then the clip size is just not very good either. So DMR is just not that great, but if it's your gun, it's your gun, you know? So just get comfortable with whatever you want. That is tip number 5, because there isn't like a hollow twister. There isn't a Reaper sniper rifle. There isn't some, like, if you're not carrying this gun, you're putting yourself at a severe disadvantage. This isn't that season, which is very rare. So just kind of have fun with it, even though things aren't like really, that can be a discouraging thing because there is no like super powerful option. But I like that in the element where it allows us to be a little bit more free with what we want to do. Tip number 6, cars are still very powerful. To negate this effect on your opponents, like shoot out their tires whenever possible. You know, like trying to take out a car's HP is tough. You know, like the SUV's got over 1,000 and the Whiplash is a speed demon. So try to take out their cars. People will often stand by their cars for cover. They won't be in them. If someone is standing by their car, okay, and they're out and they're shooting at somebody else, do not shoot at them. Do not shoot at their car. Okay, well, directly. Shoot at the tires, okay? I always start with the front tire that is closest to me that I can see, okay? And then from there, if you can, which you usually can, because it only has like a 50, 60 HP, I don't know how much HP a tire has, but it's not more than a few bullets, then try to shoot at the back tire of the exact same side. And then from there, once you get those 2 tires out, then shoot at the opponent, because they're going to get into the car and it's going to be driving all lopsided. They're not going to really understand what you did to the car, and from there you can then chase them down in your car if you have one, which you should usually be. You know, people talk about how mobility items aren't necessary because they have cars, and it's like, I carry both, man. Like, I'm not carry, but you know, I will have all my mobility and I'm using a car because I want to have max movement possible. So then your car, like, you know, if you go Whiplash versus Whiplash, you're not going to catch up to someone. Like, you guys can both have, you have the same speed and the same boost, and it's really not, you're hoping that they'll like flip over or something, basically, that they'll just drive poorly. But if they don't drive poorly, then you're not going to catch up with them. So this is a way to effectively ensure that they are not getting away. All right, 7th tip on the list. What I like to do early game, which I don't notice as many people doing because they're still around by the time that, like, I feel like I'm able to farm a couple of these sometimes, and they really do help with your hero rank, like I was mentioning earlier, not only because you get to kill the minions, but the boss itself, is go get those mini bosses, okay? Those mini bosses are like, they give you a lot of loot, the guys drop a lot of guns, a lot of ammo, and they're really easy to kill. Also, normally in Fortnite, we like to utilize right shoulder peek, but these bosses will shoot their big laser thing down at you at kind of like a downward angle, and that means you can really utilize top peak, really, you know, where you, if you have like a little hill directly in front of you, they cannot hit you, and you can shoot right over that hill. I don't know if shooting them in the face gives them quicker damage, headshot kind of thing, but I will always just, you know, shoot center mass, and I fry them, you know, with just one Spire clip. I'm always taking out these mini bosses, and they drop a lot of loot. And in addition to that, I do these and not the big bosses. The big bosses have this glitch right now where it's not every time, but if you do fight these big bosses or fight around these big bosses, sometimes the music for the bigger bosses, the ones that drop the exotic weapons, the music will last the rest of the match. And I don't know about you guys, but that tilts the hell out of me. So I do not like when that happens. So I actually have it's happened to me enough times that like it's consistent enough that I avoid the big bosses 100%. I do not fight the big bosses. I only go for the little ones. I don't really care about the exotic weapons, honestly. So I go for the little ones for the weapons. And now also, this is going to lead into tip number 8, but they used to drop either the gloves automatically, and then when the cape was added, they would drop either the gloves or the cape. Now they drop gloves or cape. And I've seen them dropping the tip number 8, how to use the surf cube. New mobility item. So the surf cube is actually really sick in my opinion. It reminds me of the hoverboard for sure, that you can kind of just pull out of anywhere, but it has a nice jump effect that I think is like a little bit easier to use than the hoverboard personally, where the hoverboard I felt like you need like momentum and terrain to get like a really good jump, whereas this you can literally just right click or whatever it is on the controller and you go very high. I mean, you can cancel it midair, and the best part is, unlike the cape, is you can shoot immediately once you're done you know, canceling it. So you can drop down on someone with, if you want to play shotgun, this is a great way to use a shotgun. For me with my Spire, because I love to hip fire with it, you can hip fire and hit people from so far away. This is such a good option. I really love this surf cube thing. It's very cool. It's got a lot of charge too. Now, one thing that I was, just a couple of quick tips, is don't spam the jump button, because for whatever reason they made it so that jump button in the air will cancel it. You know, you get one double jump, so you want to press it in the air sometimes, but then if you press it twice, or if you aren't sure that you pressed it, you will accidentally cancel it. So that's kind of lame. I did notice that if you hold it, you will get the full double jump effect and you won't cancel it. So if you want to jump and double jump, press and jump, hold, but don't spam it, or else you might cancel it by accident, and there's a few seconds before you can pop it back on. The reason why I say that is because the left click, the activation, is how you cancel it, you know, midair. So like, you don't need two cancel features. I thought that was a little weird, but the fact that you can cancel it into an offensive option is really good. You don't get knocked out of it when you get shot. I was testing that around the bots, which is really cool, and you have really great mobility with that. So if someone's coming at you with the beast gloves, that's a great way to jump, to go up and, you know, cancel, shoot down, create distance, go on a hill, like go on a building. Don't go on a hill, don't go on a building against the beast gloves, because beast gloves have great structured damage with their kind of pounce attack. When they go up, they will destroy everything in their path. So, you know, you want to take regular height and just create your separation, and I think that the surf cube is really good for doing that. All right, so tip number 9 and 10 are like a little bit more ambiguous, but like honestly, most of the deaths that I've gotten this season are me just like playing kind of like bad. You know, I'll get like what we call in poker winner's tilt, where I'm winning like so many games in a row. I'm like, oh man, I can do whatever the hell I want, and I'll rush into a situation without my full loadout, or I'll challenge someone in just a stupid, arrogant way. You guys know how it is, like which spots that are good to take when we're in like a 60-40, 70-30 situation. Like, you don't want to play 50-50s. That's like the real like that's real tip number 9. Like, don't play 50-50s. Like, why coin flip right now when you can, you know, use your mobility, use your car, separate, go get a little more health, go get a little bit more mobility, go get a little more utility, a better gun, better ammo, and then you can re-approach that player later. You know, I look at fights in Fortnite as like winning and losing, not necessarily on if we kill the person or not. Like, but say if I come across somebody and I shoot them for like, you know, 200 plus health, and then whatever like factors happen, but they get away, I consider that me winning that fight. If the opposite happens, I consider them winning that fight. You know, I had to escape, I had to leave, you know, or I would have probably died. So that is someone imposing their will, and they beat me in that situation. They didn't kill me, they didn't get the KO, but they won the round. So you want to not do that basically as much as possible. Like, you know, you want to escape. Don't let your ego get in the way. It's fine to run away. Sure, does it suck in the moment to give up the situation, give up the high ground, give up whatever? Yes, it does. Does it suck to not let someone, to not ego challenge someone and to let them win in the moment? Yep, it sucks. We all have an ego and we all want to win all the time, but that's just how it is. You got to give up the little spots so you can win in the big spots later. There's plenty of times where I'm up against a medallion player, someone who's got the Robin grappler, someone who's got like a really powerful situation where I'm like, you know what? They are letting themselves, they're exposed in one way or another here, and if I reset this situation, maybe I can fight them again and win. And there's times where we'll fight and I'll be one up, I'll keep track throughout the match. I'm like, all right, I'm 1 up against them, I'm 2-0 against them, or maybe we're 1-1 against each other, and whoever fights, you know, whoever wins the third round is probably going to kill the person. So you keep track of your fights a little bit more than just like kills and deaths. All right, and tip number 10, final tip, is treat the season like the unique situation that it is. And what I mean by that is there is so much going on that we are not going to have in any other seasons like this. I mean, sure, maybe elements of this season will leak into future ones, but this is a very different season than anything we've had before. So one great thing is like one element that we have had in other seasons, say like the Marvel season, is you have a ton of great loot just available off the rip. You know, Avengers chest, hero chest, kind of the same thing really. You can get up to A tier very quickly right now, and there's a lot of good chests around the map. So get all your loot. This is what I was saying before in my previous tip, like get all your good loot before you're fighting. Like, why fight with mid loot when you can get god tier loot by like zone 2, okay? And in zone 2, the first good medallion comes in. So you really do want to like, well, the better of the 2 medallions comes in, I should say. So you really do want to be like kind of speed running the beginning of the game. What I like to look at this season is the beginning of the game is a sprint. You want to get your loadout, you want to get your boons, you know, put the Superman sprite in the shrine, get your heightened sense boon. That is the most important boon. If you don't have that in the end game, you messed up, okay? Guaranteed you did something wrong at some point that game. Make sure you have whatever mobility you like. I still like using dash sprites, and I still like using the base gloves, but maybe I'll use other things as well. You know, try to find your scanners, try to find your this. Know where the hero stands are that will have these guaranteed hero items, and run around them. I do not care about kills at all in the beginning of the game, unless they're bots, low key. Why do I want to ego challenge someone? If I can find a good situation, you know, if I can third party, sure, but I'm not going to do any 50-50s because those take so long sometimes. They take 30 seconds, 60 seconds to fight somebody. You don't have that time in the beginning of the game. By the time zone 2 comes in and that boss is coming in, island boss, you want to be heading there and getting it as soon as possible. So I just spend the first part of the game doing that, and then as soon as I get that medallion, or if I say I fail and we like, you know, lose the island fight and we have to reposition or, you know, regather ourselves, at that point, then the game from zone 2 to the end game is honestly just a marathon. It goes from a sprint to a marathon right at that moment, right after the boss is defeated, in my mind, because then you can take your time. Then you can either you have the medallion and you're going to go look for the other medallion, or you don't have the medallion and you're going to go re-heal up, you're going to get all the guns you want, put yourself in the absolute best position to win, and then you're going to go find the medallion players and try to kill them. And the reason why you do that as early as possible is because, like I said before, sometimes you don't kill them the first time. Sometimes, you know, they get away. Sometimes you need to get away and reposition. You don't want to have to fight someone once end game and have that be your only fight. I'd rather have, if I have to fight them end game, I want it to be the second, third, or fourth time we fought all game. I don't want the best players to be alive end game. I want to challenge them early so that if I do fail in my challenge attempt, I have numerous attempts to challenge them throughout the rest of the game. I don't want my one attempt to be the only attempt that I get, because let's face it, there's a lot of really good players in this game, and you don't know, like, the skill caliber of people that you can come up against, especially this season, is kind of ridiculous. You know, some people know how to do incredible grapple switches, cancels. You know, they have like the yoink and doink shotgun, they have the freeze fire shotgun, they have things that are going to really mess you up, and like they're going to utilize them in a really annoying way. And you got a lot of people who are just like very casual, and they might have a medallion, a grappler, and a mythic, and you know, they can't use none of it. So you want to give yourself as many chances as you can to challenge these people. So yeah, that's the tips, guys. Like, get your loadout, figure out what's good for you. It's a very open season. You can use a lot of stuff that is to your own preferred playstyle. If you want to use the crows and the mist gauntlet, use that. If you want to use dash sprites, if you want to use, honestly, whatever. I'm gonna try and mess around with the crows and the gauntlets a little more, mess around with the surfboard a little more. The scanner is busted for sure, you know, but I might even try going like a little more mobility, a little more offense. I might, yeah, just mess around. There's so many things. Don't restrict yourself. There's one thing I can tell you guys I'm not messing with no more. That DMR is trash, y'all. Do not touch that DMR. That thing is garbage. Okay, the SMG, low-key, this Veiled Precision is better. It's like, it's a better gun. It's hit scan and it just fries people, even though the bullets only do like 11 damage at range. It's still fine. It's better than not hitting your target at all. So that's what I'm gonna leave you all with today. There's probably not too much more stuff coming in. I feel like we've seen everything from the trailer at this point. For the most part, we're gonna be re-evaluating, theory crafting the whole time, and just getting better. But yeah, thank you all, love you all, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.